Hello friends, Tony here. In this video, I'm going to start a new mini-series about Laravel Multi-Language. I have created some tutorials about Laravel, about Livewire, Filament, Inertia, Vue, but I never touched the multi-language in Laravel, how we can use that, and that's what I'm going to do in this mini-series. Now, if I open here the documentation, I am inside the Laravel documentation now, and let's go in the digging deeper, and we have here the localization. So let's zoom it also, and I'm going to scroll up. Yeah, by default the Laravel application skeleton does not include the lang directory. So if you like to customize Laravel's language files, you may publish them via the lang:publish artisan command. Okay, I have created a project for that, so here is the project, and I have named Laralang. Also, I have installed the Breeze, so I have with Breeze, and I choose Blade as a stack. Let's go to the register. Okay, here we have a name, email, password, and confirm password. Now, if I open the VS Code, and let's open the files, here, by default, we don't have the lang directory. So to publish them, we need to call this lang:publish artisan command. Okay, so let's open the terminal and let's use that. So artisan lang:publish. Hit enter, and now we are okay. Here is the lang directory. Inside this directory now we have a new directory called en for English, and we have 4 files: out.php, pagination.php, passwords.php, and validation.php. So if I open this out.php, here we have return an array with key values. So we have failed, these credentials do not match our records, password, the provided password is incorrect, and throttle, too many login attempts, please try again. And here we have :seconds, which mean this is a variable and can be changed. So we have now the lang en directory with 4 files, and let's go here. So Laravel provides 2 ways to manage translation strings. First, language strings may be stored in files within the application's lang directory. So here we have the files. Within this directory, there may be subdirectories for each language supported by the application. Right now, we have only the en for the English. Now, this is the approach Laravel uses to manage translation strings for built-in Laravel features such as validation error messages. Okay, so here we have validation, and as you can see, this is a huge file, and the following language lines contain the default error messages used by the validator class. So you can see accepted, the :attribute, which is going to be the file field must be accepted, and so on. We have also, if I scroll down, the required. So I'm going to search for the required. Yeah, here we have required. Now the attribute field is required. So that means if I come here and refresh and just let's say register, yeah, we have front-end validation. So let's go to the resources, views, out, and register, and just select all the required here and remove, so we don't have now front-end validation. If I say register, as you can see, we have the name field is required, the email field is required, and let's zoom it, and the password field is required, which means that in the validation, the :attribute, now this :attribute is name, email, and password, and then we have field is required. Okay, so if I change this now, for example, to let's say just I'm going to add a test here. Save and come here and refresh and register again. Now we have the name field is required and then test. The same for the email, test, and for the password we have test also. Now this is the first one. Also we have translation strings may be defined within JSON files that are placed within the lang directory, so directly in the lang directory. And when taking this approach, each language supported by your application would have a corresponding JSON file within this directory. This approach is recommended for applications that have a large number of translatable strings. So for example, in the lang directory we have en.json for the English and es.json for the Spanish. Okay, now if I refresh, good. We can also change the name, email, password, and confirm password from the, for example, let's go to the auth file. And also let's open the register blade. Here you can see we have in the input, we have colon, value, and then underscore, underscore, method. If you go also here, we can see you may retrieve the translation strings from your language files using the underscore, underscore helper function. Now, if you're using short keys to define your translation strings, you should pass the file that contains the key and the key itself to the underscore, underscore function using the dot syntax. So, for example, messages dot welcome. As you can see, for example, if we have in the messages, and in the messages we have the key welcome, we are going to access that by saying messages dot welcome, say using the dot notation. So in the validation now, not in validation, sorry, in the auth.php, I'm going to create a new array. So let's come here. And I'm going to say not like this, the register, but the register is going to be an array again. So this is an array all, then we have the register, and I added an array here, and I'm going to say, for example, name, which is going to be name like this. And let's leave the tab 9 like this, okay? Now, if I go to the register and instead of the hard-coded name, I'm going to say auth, and now this is the auth file, okay? Then, so also the same, we have here messages. Then I'm going to specify the key here, which is a register, then the key for the name, which is the name. Okay, so auth dot register dot name. So the first one is the file name, then is the key in this file, the first one, which is a register, and then the key in that register array. Now if I save that and come here and refresh, yeah, we have the same name, but if I change here, for example, I'm going to say nombre and save, refresh, now we have nombre. Okay, and we can do the same now for the email and so on. So let's copy this, paste it here, just change from name to be email, and also here to be password, and this one to be password confirmation. So I'm going to come here and copy this, paste it right here. Now instead of the hard-coded names here, we added from this file, and if I come here and refresh, yeah, we need to change this password here to be confirm password. Just be cool, confirm like this, and refresh, and yeah, now we are okay. Okay friends, so that's it all about this video. I hope you like it, and don't forget, if you like such a video, subscribe to my channel, like this video, share with your friends, and see you in the next one. All the best. Hello friends, Tony here. So in the previous video we worked with the PHP files to translate the register blade, the name, email, password, and confirm password. And if I open the VS Code, we have the lang directory, we published that, and inside we have the en directory for the English. And in the auth file I created the login and the register key, which has an array with name, email, password, and password confirmation. And then in the resources, views, auth, register blade, we defined the keys, for example, auth.register.name and so on. So we used the first approach, or we have also the second approach, which is the translation strings may be defined within JSON files. And also if I scroll down here, so defining translation strings using the short keys, which mean that we created with PHP files, or we have the second one, which is using translation strings as a keys, which mean this is going to be a string as a key in the JSON file, and then we translate this, which mean, for example, if I go in the login, we have labels for the email, and we can use this email as a string, and we can translate that. Now, as you can see here, for application with a large number of translatable strings, defining every string with a short key can become confusing when referencing the keys in your views. For this reason, Laravel also provides support for defining translation strings using the default translation of the string as the key. And the language files that use translation strings as keys are stored as JSON files in the lang directory. For example, if your application has a Spanish translation, you should create a lang in the lang directory, the es.json file, and it's going to look something like this. Now I'm going to create here in the lang directory a new file, and I'm going to name it en for the English.json. Hit enter, and here is the example. Let's copy this and paste it here. But instead of I love programming, I'm going to say, for example, in the login we have this string email, and I want to translate this, which means if I come here and go to the login page, just let's create this. If I save this and refresh, yeah, we have email here, but because we just created it without the JSON, we had that error. But if I say email here like this and email here also, let's save, we have the same thing, nothing changed. But if I change the email in here now, let's say test, for example, and save and refresh, now as you can see, we have the email test, because in the login we have this value and we use the helper function __, and this email is going to see in the JSON files in the en JSON file for the key, which is email, and display the value. Now here we have also the password and the remember me. So let's do that. Let's say password, and I'm going to say also password test here, and remember me, and this is going to be remember me like this. and let's save, come here and refresh. Now we have password test, but the remember me is not updated. And that's because if we go here to the login and go to the remember me, and we have a span here with translation underscore, but here we have remember lowercase me, okay, but we added uppercase me, and this is a difference. So if I say lowercase me now and save, come here and refresh, yeah, and now we have remember me test. So we need to write the same as we have in the en file, also in the blade files, okay, remember that. And also if I create here a new file in the en directory, so in here I'm going to create the, for example, the email.php, and here I'm going first to add the PHP and let's say return an array. And just let's add a name here, let's say test, and I'm going to close this. Right now, if I come here and refresh, nothing is going to change. But what happened if I go to the login, and when we have the email here, instead of the capital E, I'm going to say lowercase. Save. Now, this is going to look first for the file with this name, email. I'm going to take a look to this one, okay? If I come here and refresh now, yeah, we are going to have the error. The argument string must be of type string, but array given, because is going to look for this file, and this is going to return an array. If we change back to the uppercase email, everything works as expected. If you worked with JSON and with PHP files, and for example you have the string and also the file with that name, you may have an error. Now I recommend to use either the PHP files or JSON file. Now this is up to you what you like. Now when we use PHP files, we can have multi-level nested keys. So for example, auth PHP, and then I register a register key here, and then we have a name key. Instead, in the JSON, we can have only the one JSON file with all the keys we need for the application. With the PHP files, also we can have identical keys in different files. So for example, in the auth, we can have password or login or register name. In the email, the same thing, we can have name here and email. So we can have identical keys in different files, and we can use them where we want. So with JSON, we can write full sentences as keys and later have them translated. Now here, when we use JSON, for example, this email is going to be email test in every file where we add email as a string, okay? Take in mind, if you use PHP files, as I said, for example, here we can say auth.name, and it's going to be, let's just show you. If I save in the auth, now let's add one more here, one key, let's say name, and this key is going to be name or auth name. I'm going to say just C auth name, and also in the email I'm going to do the same thing. We have a name here, and I'm going to say name like this, and it's going to be auth email name. And now if I see in the browser, so refresh, we have auth name. And why we have this? Yeah, because we added uppercase. So we need a lowercase. Now we have auth name, as you can see. But if we want, we can use the email name. And here we need lowercase and change from auth the email.name. And now we have email name. Okay. So with PHP files, we can have different meaning for name in different files. Okay, that's it all about this video, friends. I hope you enjoy and see you in the next video. All the best, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, like this video because it's going to help me to rank on YouTube. See you in the next one, friends. All the best. Hello friends, Tony here. So we have worked with Laravel localization. We have worked with PHP files, also with JSON files. And when you show a translation string, Laravel needs to know what language to load. And in programming, it's called Locale. And each Laravel project has the primary and a fallback Locale. Now, if you go here to Laravel documentation, localization, we have configuring the local section, and the default language for your application is stored in the config/app.php configuration file and local configuration option. And you are free to modify this value to suit the needs of your application. Here we have an example, so you may modify the default language for a single HTTP request at runtime using the setLocal method provided by the app facade. And we have an example here. Also, you may configure a fallback language, which will be used when the active language does not contain a given translation string. Now, like the default language, the fallback language is also configured in the app.php configuration file. And if I open that, so app.php, I set the local to en and the fallback local to es. Okay, now let's close this. And also I'm going to close this. In the lang directory, I created also the es directory. And in here, I created this welcome.php, which return this name dash this dash color. And I translate this with Google Translate because I don't know Spanish. And welcome to bienvenido. Okay, also in the en directory, I have created the welcome.php file, which has the same, name this color, and also welcome. Okay, in this now, I said just name this color, and I'm going to remove the test. Okay, then in the web PHP, I have created this example, okay? And I said route get welcome local, and if not in the array, it's going to abort. If we don't have the en or es, it's going to abort 400, otherwise it's going to say app set local to the local, and it's going to return the view welcome. And in the welcome view, I just added the CSS here and h1, and I said welcome, which means the welcome file dot welcome, which is the key in the welcome file, this one. Now let's go to the welcome, for example, ./en for the English. And yeah, we have welcome and name this color. Now if we change that the test, you can see we have named this color test. Okay, let's get back, save. Now if we change from en to es, we have a different text here, which is in the Spanish. Good. What if for example, in the Spanish, we don't have this, name this color. If I comment this and save and see here, we have what we have typed in the welcome. So welcome dot name dash this dash color. Okay. If I go to the en again and hit enter, yeah, we have welcome and name this color, which is correct. What if in the welcome in the English we don't have the name this color? And I'm going to add it in the ES. Now the ES, the Spanish is in the, oh yeah, we need to open again the config. App PHP is a fallback. Okay. As you can see, we are in the /en, but instead of the hard-coded, instead of the welcome.name dash this dash color, is showing us the translated Spanish text, okay? Because the Spanish is the fallback local. So keep in mind, if we are in the ES and yeah, we are okay, but if we don't in the ES, we don't have this. And in the welcome PHP for the English we have, save is going, if we don't have that in the Spanish, it's not going to show us the English version. But if we navigate to the English and we don't have that in English, but we have in the Spanish, it's going to show us the Spanish version, okay? Because the Spanish is the fallback language. Okay, friends, that's it all about this tutorial. I just wanted to show you how we can add the default and the fallback languages, and also how to use this example and show you when we have a string in the fallback languages and not in the default one, is going to show us the fallback string. But if we have that in the default one and not in the fallback one, and we navigate, the fallback is not going to show the translated the English, but instead is going to show what we have right here. Okay, good. Now see you in the next one, friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video and share with your friends. All the best. Hello friends, Tony here. So in the previous video we worked with this example. We copied this from the Laravel. We create this route, so route get welcome /local, and we check if it's not in the array the local en or yes. We're going to abort, otherwise we're going to say here app set local to what the local is. So for example, ES here, and it's going to say the Laravel set local to ES, and then the Laravel is going to translate what we have in the welcome. So let's go to the welcome here. So welcome.welcome, which is going to see in the lang, and the local is ES, and in the welcome here is going to translate to this one, and also the name this color to this one. Now if you go to the Apple website, so apple.com, by default we have the United States as a region, yeah, and we are in the United States, and it is English as a local. So if I change that to something else, so for example, go here, we have ES, and we have Spanish translated to Spanish, and then so the first segment of the URL is going to be the local, ES in this case, and then the other. So for example, here we have Mac, and the same thing I want to do in our project. Okay, so the first segment is going to be the local and then something else. Right now we have 404, so let's go and work with that. For that, I'm going to, instead of passing the logic in the route, I'm going to create a new middleware. So let's come here and let's say artisan make middleware, hit enter, give it a name, and I'm going to name it localization. Hit enter. Let's close, and now let's open the localization middleware. And here, before we return to the next request, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say use the app, or we can say app like this, but I prefer to use the app helper method and say set local. Okay, so the same thing we have here, just here we use the app facade, and in here I'm going to use the method app set local, and I'm going to use the request, not get, but the request segment, and I want the first segment. App set local is going to set the local to what the first segment is. In this case is ES. Okay, now you can go and register this in the kernel.php. So this middleware, if I open the kernel PHP, yeah, here for example, let's register. I'm going to register as a local, or you can say localization like this, or I prefer to use the class. So now in the web PHP, I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to create a new route, and I'm going to pass all that in that route where I'm going to add the prefix for the local. Okay, so all the routes is going to have this prefix, and let's do that. Let's say route, use the prefix, and here I'm going to say local, and use the middleware, and the middleware is localization. Okay, and this is going to be group because we are going to add all the routes in here. I'm going to add a closure, and let's close this, and let's move all the routes we have right now in here. Let's save. So it's going to indent for us, and yeah, we have the route for the dashboard, route for the profile, and the auth PHP here. Let's also create the route for the welcome, and I'm going to say route view, use view here, and when we navigate to the slash, I want to display the welcome view, not welcome.html, but just a welcome. And let's save. Now if I come here and refresh, as you can see, we have translation in ES in the Spanish because we have ES here, but if we change the EN, we have that in the English. Okay, very good. Now let's go to, for example, EN login here, and yeah, we have missing a required parameter for the route login for local. So in the method, in the form method post, we use the action and route login. For that, if you go to Laravel, so let's open the Laravel documentation and URLs default values. Now for some application, you may wish to specify request-wide default values for certain URL parameters. For example, imagine many of your routes define a local parameter. In this case, we have the same. Okay. And it is cumbersome to always pass the local every time you call the route helper. For that we have the error, so in every route we call the URL, the local. So you may use the URL defaults method to define a default value for this parameter that will always be applied during the current request. And here we have the example URL defaults pass in the local and say request user local. So let's copy this. Here we are in the set default local for URLs, but I'm going to pass that in our middleware. So let's say here and import this URL. So URL defaults local. Instead of request user local, I'm going to say request and use the segment, the first one. So we're going to get the local from the request segment. Okay, now if I save this and let's close this also and refresh, yeah, we navigate to the login. And also if we go to the register here, yeah, and now we are in the en/register and we have this translated to English, but as in the ES I created this out.php with just the register and I translated that Spanish, so name, email, password and password confirmation. If we navigate now to the /es/register, we translate that number Spanish. Okay, also we need to translate the already registered. So let's go to register blade and something like this. So I'm going to use now this key, save this first and open now the register blade, and in here let's say auth.register dot and pass in that key. Save, come here, close this and refresh. Now now we need to translate also the button, and let's go to auth.php one more time and say register, which is going to be like this. Save this, close, and now also one more time we use the auth.register .register. Save this, come here, refresh, and now we have register here. Okay, now one more thing I want to do in this video is if I navigate to the home page like this, we have 404 not found, and we have this 404 not found because we don't have the local first segment. For that, what we need is go in the web PHP, and let me just remove this one, and I'm going to register a new route. And if we don't have the first segment, I'm going to redirect and add that segment. Okay, so let's say route get. So when we navigate to the slash, and I'm going to use the callback, so function, and I'm going to say return, redirect, and for example, let's say redirect and pass in the en here, which means we are going to redirect to the /en. Okay, so if I say that and refresh this, yeah, we navigate to /en. But for example, if we don't have the en as a default language, but we have Spanish, so let's open the app.php inside the configuration file. So instead of en, we have es here. Let's save and let's come here and refresh. So if I hit enter, yeah, we navigate to the /en. But in our app.php, we set the local to yes. So we need to have Spanish here. What we can do is to go to the app, and instead of returning redirect passing the en here, we're going to pass the app helper method and use not set but get local, and now it's going to get what we pass in here, and it's going to pass here. So in this case, now we have ES, it's going to be ES in here. Let's try one more time. If I hit enter, yeah, we navigate to the /ES. One more time, yeah. And if we type EN, yeah, okay. Also, ES/register. Yeah, we navigate to ES/register and we have the translation here. Okay, friends, that's it all about this video. I hope you enjoy and see you in the next one. All the best. Thank you very much. Friends, Tony here. So in the previous video, we put the local in a URL. So the first segment of the URL is local. And I took the apple.com website as an example. But here, by default, we are in the English and we don't have that first segment, okay? But in our project, if I remove the first segment, which is the local, and hit enter, we redirect back with the EN, which is the local we put in the app configuration file. And I had a comment how we can achieve the same thing we have in the Apple, so remove that first segment if we have the default value. But instead of this, I'm going to remove the first segment for all the locals and put that in the session. Okay, so you can go and read more in the Laravel documentation. If I search for session, okay, here you can read more about the session and session put key value, or you can use the global session helper session and pass in the key and the value like this. Okay, but in here, if we want to change the local, we have this link and we navigate to choose country or region, and we can choose that. In our case, I'm going to create a drop-down in the dashboard. So when we log in, we navigate the dashboard, and there we have that drop-down for the logout and a profile. And I'm going to copy and paste and do the same thing for the locals. Okay, let's open now the VS Code and start and work. The first thing what I'm going to do is open the localization middleware. Here we say app set local, and we get the local from the segment 1 in the URL. And also we say URL defaults local and say request segment 1. But instead of this, we are going to remove now from the URL. So what I'm going to do, we can say here, for example, if the session, and use the session helper method that has localization, for example. Let's say we name localization that, and if that is true, we can say app set session set local session get localization. Otherwise, we're going to say app set local and get the local from the config app local, so what we put in the default one. Okay, and that's it. Okay, but instead of this, so we can make that shorter. So if you go the session, and now here we have a storing data, but if we use that session helper, that's retrieving, yeah, here we have specified a default value. We have session key, for example, localization, or we are going to add the default one, and we're going to use that. So let's remove this also, and now we say app set local session, but not get localization. And let's copy this to have not get localization, but we say here localization, or the default one, which is going to be the config and not local, but we need to say app.local like this. Need to close this correctly. Okay, now remove this one, and also we need to remove the URL defaults because we are not working with the URL anymore. and save. And now we have clean here. We just say app set local, what we put in the session localization, or as a default we use the app local in the configuration file. Let's close this now, and now we need to work with the URL. So let's open the web routes, remove now this one here, we don't need, also remove the prefix, and let's save. Right now we have 404 not found because we don't have the URL with en. And now we have English, because I think it's if I open the app PHP in the config, yeah, we have en. If I say es here, and also we need to clean the storage here. Good. And refresh. Now we have in Spanish. Okay, but as I said, I want to have a drop down to change the localization. For that, let's close this, and if I open the .env file, I have added here the database Laravel as a name because I have a Laravel database, so you can go and create that. And now let's open the terminal and run the artisan migrate fresh. Okay, let's go and register a new user. So fake fielder here, register, and we are in the dashboard. Now here we have this drop down with profile and logout, and I'm going to copy this and paste. I'm going to create 2 of them, and that's it inside the navigation blade. Okay, so here we have this drop down. Let's duplicate this one, and the first one I'm going to make it for the localization. So let's say I'm going just to say local here. If I save, yeah, we have local here. Now here we need to render we need to list our locals. And for that, let's open the config. I'm going to create a new file here and name it localization. Okay, and here let's say PHP, and it's going to return an array, and here I'm going to say locales. Yeah, we need to put this. It's going to be an array for locales, so en and just the es, not more. Let's close this, let's save, and now here we need to remove the logout. We don't need that, and cut this link and make for each, and use the config localization locales as $sign local, and put the drop down link, and here instead of the profile like this, we pass the local. Now we need to create the route. When we click this link, it's going to change the localization based on the value we have here. Okay, so the route is going to be, I'm going to name it localization. You can name it what you like, and then we need to put also the value local. Let's save. Now let's go and create this localization route. Okay, here we can say route, and we need also the controller. We can do directly here, but I'm going to create a controller. So let's open the terminal, clean this, and let's say artisan make controller, hit enter. The name is going to be localization controller, hit enter, and this is going to be invocable. Let's close this, and now let's use that. So route get, and when we navigate to /localization or what you can name it, and we need the local here. Now let's use the localization controller and say class here because we have invocable controller, so we are okay. Let's give it a name, which is going to be localization. And let's save. Now let's open the controller and make the logic here. We don't need the request. We need just to get the local here, the value, and here we are going to check. So if we go back, so we are going to do the same thing we have here, just copy and paste it. So if it's not in the array, I'm passing the local, which is the value. Now instead of en hard-coded here, we can get that from the config file. So config localization locales, and it's going to abort. And now instead of the saying app set local, we are going to say not app set local, but we are going to put that in a session. And we can say put, or we can say an array with localization is going to be the key and the value local, like this. And then we are going to say return redirect back. Okay. So now we are good with this. Refresh. As you can see here, we have this string, which is a translation of you are logged in, because in the dashboard here I added this auth.login-message, which is going to come from the lang en auth. I added the login-message to be you are logged in, and also in the es auth login message is going to be the translated Spanish. Okay. Now let's try. If I click en, let's see. Yeah, we have you are logged in. If I click in the es, yeah, we have this Spanish you are logged in. Okay, friends, that's it all about this video. So if I refresh and, for example, right now we are in the es, let's log out. As you can see here, we are in the Spanish, and also let's register one more time. Let's use a page filler. I'm not going to save that, and I'm going to change this to en, and I'm going to log out. We have again Spanish. And why is that? Because when we log out, we destroy the session and we regenerate that on the middleware. Okay, so we say app session, app set local, session localization is going to be config app local. And if I open that app, config is yes by default. If we say en, save and refresh, now we have en. So now if we navigate again to register blade and let's register, we have you are logged in, set local to yes, okay. If we navigate the home page, we have in the Spanish. If you go back and log out, so we are in Spanish, log out, we have English because in the app PHP we have this, and when we log out we destroy the session. Okay friends, that's it all about this video. I hope you enjoy and see you in the next one. All the best. Thank you very much. Hello friends, Tony here. So this is going to be the last video for the Laravel localization, and in this video I'm going to talk about the pluralization. Now pluralization is a complex problem as different languages have a variety of complex rules for pluralization. However, Laravel can help you translate strings differently based on pluralization rules that you define using a pipe character. Okay, you may distinguish singular and plural forms of a string, and we have an example. Apples, there is one apple, and also pipe here, so the using a pipe character, and there are many apples. Of course, pluralization is also supported when using translation strings as keys. Here is an example. there is one apple, pipe, there are many apples, and here is the translation. Okay, now you may even create more complex pluralization rules which specify translation strings for multiple ranges of values. So apples, and in curly braces we added 0, so which means if we have 0 apples, there are none. Pipe, then in array we specify the first value from 1 to 19. If we have 1 to 19 apples, it's going to say there are some. And pipe again, in array we specified from 20 to infinity, is going to say there are many. After defining the translation strings that has pluralization options, you may use the trans_choice function to retrieve the line for a given count. Okay, so here we have trans_choice. Here is the message, and we add the comma and then the count. So let's start and work with that. I'm going to copy this. And let's open the VS Code. And in the lang welcome here, I'm going to add this one also. So apples, if it's 0, it's going to say there are none. 1 to 19 is going to say there are some, and 20 and above is going to say there are many. And let's save this. Also, let's go in the ES directory welcome here, the same thing. Just now here I'm going to copy this and translate to Spanish. Okay, so I'm going to open a new tab here and say Google Translate, paste it here, and I'm going to copy that and replace this one. Okay, let's save. Okay, and now let's open views and welcome blade. Here we say welcome.welcome, which is going to display this one. Then we say welcome, name this color, and in here I'm going to add that message, okay, which is apples. So welcome dot apples. But if I save that, it's going to display the string we have in here, because we need to use the trans_choice as we have here in the example. Okay, so trans_choice and the message, and also the count, not the underscore. So let's use that trans_choice underscore choice, and the first one is the message and then the count. For example, let's say 0. If I save now and let's see the browser, yeah, there are none. As you can see, if I say true, save, there are some, because we have here 1 to 19 is going to say there are some. And if we say 20 or more, it's going to say there are many. So let's change that to 20. Come here and it's going to say there are many. Okay, as we saw here, pluralization is also supported when using translation strings as keys. So JSON, and I'm going to copy this. So let's open also the JSON, and I'm going to paste what we have in here. Okay, and it's going to be the same. But if I open the JSON, it's going to change. Okay, so first let's add the English, and then I'm going to copy that we have in the Spanish, which is going to translate in Spanish. Okay, save now. And in the welcome blade, instead of using the welcome.apples, now we need to pass this string. So let's copy this and let's go in the welcome blade and paste that one. Okay, we paste here the string and let's save that. Go here, we say there are many because the count is 20. If we say 2, save, there are some, and if we say 0, it's going to say there are none. Okay. Also, you may also define placeholder attributes in pluralization strings. So this placeholder may be replaced by passing an array as the third argument to the transChoice function. Here we have transChoice, we have the translate message, the count, and then an array. We specify the value, which we add here :value. Okay, and for that I'm going to work with users. So first, let's go on the welcome, and I'm going to say users here, and it's going to say there are no users. If is 0, if is 1 to 5, I'm going to say there are not some, but I'm going to use the value. Okay, so I'm going to use this value for user, and I'm going to say there are :value users, and I'm going to use only this 2. Okay, now let's copy this and translate in Spanish. So copy that, go to the welcome in ES directory and replace this. Also here we need to say users. Let's save and let's go to ES JSON, and also here we need to replace this one, welcome.php in the en. I'm going to copy this and paste it in the en.json. In here, also in here, and save, and also in ES JSON in here. Okay, so this is the string, and we are going to translate this one. Okay, now let's open the web routes, and here instead of view I'm going to say get and use a closure. So use a function, and here return the view welcome, but first I'm going to get the count of the users. So I'm going to say $count to be equal with user count, like this. Let's import the user model from the app models user, and here we need to pass the users. So use a compact helper count, like this. Okay, save. Now let's close the web PHP, and first I'm going to work with PHP files, so users. In the welcome blade here, instead of the string, we are going to use the welcome.users. Okay, and here instead of hard-coded 0, I'm going to use the count. So let's say $count here. Save. Come here, and we have there are value users because we need to add also the third argument, which is an array, and we say value, which is going to be, in our case, is going to be count. If I save that, and as you can see here, say there are 4 users, because also in my database we have 4 users, as you can see. Now if I go and register a new user, so let's say register, fake filler here. Okay, Let's go now to home page. Now we have there are 5 users. Good. Now let's work with the JSON file, and I'm going to go in the en, copy this, go to welcome blade, replace this one with the string. So if it's 0, it's going to say there are no users, otherwise it's going to say there are value users. And here is my mistake, not 1 to 5 but 1 to infinity. And let's save. Let's come here and refresh. It's going to say there are 5 users if the count is 0. Also here we say 0, save. It's going to say there are no users. Now go back, save this, and I want to see that in Spanish. So let's go to dashboard and change the local to be yes. Okay, go back to home page, and we see here there are 5 users, and that's it, because here we changed the value from 1 to 5 to 1 to infinity, the asterisk here, and in the en JSON we need to do that, and save. Also in the es JSON we need to do that, and also here, and also here, and in the welcome the same thing, because we have 1 if is no users, otherwise 1 to infinity is going to say you have some users here. Okay, so replace the 1 to 5 to 1 to infinity in all the welcome PHP in the en directory and welcome PHP in the es, and also in the en JSON and es JSON. And now if we see, yeah, we have translated in Spanish. Okay friends, that's it all about this video and all about the Laravel translation. I hope you enjoy, and if you like such a videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, share with your friends, and see you in the next one. All the best. Thank you very much.